for tonight. I'm Danny Williamson, and this is Margie Bissinger right here. Margie. Yeah, I said Margie. I think I came out
you're
first.
good.
Okay, Margie. We are talking about osteoporosis, osteopenia, treatment, prevention, all the things tonight. As you guys get logged on, I want you to tell us where you're from, post your questions up here, and share this with your tribe on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching live. So we're going to talk about something that 54 million Americans, half of all adults age 50 and older, are at risk of breaking a bone and should be concerned about bone health. I mean, this is fascinating to me. You know, who gets osteoporosis oftentimes? Skinny white women. This is what I tell my patients all the time, right? The Sally Fields of the world. And it's really important because when you break a bone, we're already on the downhill slide, you know? So 1 in 2 women and up to 1 in 4 men will break a bone in their lifetime due to osteoporosis. For women, the incidence is greater than that of a heart attack, a stroke, and breast cancer combined. Now, this is what the National Osteoporosis Foundation says. Margie may say something different, but they call it a silent disease because you don't know until you know. Right? And oftentimes it's too late once you break the bone or break a hip, and then we've got problems. So while you guys are logging on, all right, here we go, guys. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at everybody here. All right. I am going to introduce Margie. I met Margie, I don't know, a couple of years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, and I fell in love with her. And when the book came out, I was on her podcast, and that was a ton of fun. But you guys are going to love Margie. She has a summit that actually starts tomorrow. So tonight you need to get signed up and all that for the summit because it's going to be amazing. How many speakers do you have on the summit?
There's 45 speakers.
Dear Lord.
Including you, Danny. I love your interview. Yeah.
Day 5 of it. So
yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit about Margie, and we're going to get started right into this. She is a physical therapist. She's an integrative health coach and a happiness trainer. I love that more than anything. I think osteoporosis is great, but the happiness thing, man, this is really fascinating to me. She has over 25 years of experience helping people with osteoporosis and osteopenia improve their bone health. She's the author of Osteoporosis, an Exercise Guide, and everyone needs this book. She oversees all the osteoporosis initiatives in the state of New Jersey as a physical therapist representative to the New Jersey Interagency Council on Osteoporosis. She teaches an online 6-week course, which we'll talk about today, Happy Bones, Happy Life, to give people the tools to naturally achieve optimal bone health. She also is the host of her very own podcast, Happy Bones, Happy Life, and the Natural Approaches to Osteoporosis and Bone Health Summit, which starts tomorrow. She's been featured in the New York Times, Menopause Management, OBGYN News, and she's contributed to numerous fitness books and journals and things like that. I'm telling you, she's the real deal. You're going to love her tonight. So, Margie, I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so happy, Danny, to be with you. I just love you, your energy, your message to the world. So I'm just so thrilled to be with you and your community. And thank you for so much for inviting me.
Well, I'm telling you, I adore you, and I'm thrilled to death that you're here. So we're going to dig right in over here. Oh, look here. We got somebody saying something. Then we're going to get started. I'm a 53-year-old with a broken left ankle and a fibula right now. Okay. We're going to talk about you tonight for sure, sis. So what is osteoporosis? I mean, what is it? For those that don't know, what is it?
The word itself means porous bones. And what happens, there's a change in both the density, the architecture. So normally the bones, there should be nice, the bone itself should have nice interconnections and be strong. And what happens, it becomes porous and it loses the microarchitecture. So now not only is it not as dense, but it also, the quality of the bone is less. So it makes it more fragile and likely to break.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, how common is it? I mean, I read
That's
there.
the problem. Just like you said, what you said were the statistics in the United States, which was 1 in 2 women, and you said 1 in 4 men. Worldwide, the United States is worse than the world. Worldwide, it's 1 in 3 men, 3 women, and 1 in 5 men. But that's huge. It's absolutely huge. And just like you said, it's something that, people don't think about until they're older. Oh, I don't need to worry about. That's an older person's, issue. I don't even call it a disease. I call it a condition
It
because
is a condition.
there's
Yeah.
so much, right? There's so much that can be done. That's the good news. But it's very prevalent. And the best news is at every age. We just need to put it on the map, Danny. We just need to put it on the map so at every age people can do things to really wipe this out because there's so much that can be done. It's sort of like a bank that you put money in and put deposits in. And when you're a child, women have 80 to 90% of their bone by age 18.
That I
And
was going to ask you that. Like, when are our bones the strongest or whatever? Or how does that work? So
yeah,
18 or 19, we have
by
eight.
18, around 18, we have 80 to 90% of our adult bone. We have our peak bone around 25, 25 to 30 maybe. But so those years, and now kids are sitting in front of the computer, being active, eating well, all those good things are so important. And it's not something that's stress, jumping, doing all those important things. So, and then at every age, women can do things. So you're putting deposits in the bank, so that if you do lose bone later on, you have bone to draw from. So it really, really matters. And I think, and one of my goals of the summit, I have a pediatrician on. What can we do for kids? Really women of all, I mean, really people of all ages. What can be done to prevent this? I think it's a huge area, not really addressed very often.
Wow. So we need to be concerned about bone health actually at all ages. I mean,
Yes.
pediatricians need to be talking about this. We need to get these kids jumping and building bones. The kids who are not playing sports, right? The ones who, what about on a rebounder? Would a rebounder help or not so much, or a trampoline? Or do you
I mean,
need,
I think the rebounder is good. They haven't really done studies on the rebounders, and certainly anything's good, but it's that force. You
yes,
want the thing is what they found is that high impact force. So jumping, like we used to do hopscotch, right? As kids,
yes.
those kind of things are just so important. All that physical activity, that's what's critical for our kids. Playing, being on the jungle gym, all of that is going to make a huge difference later on. So I think, I mean, even they've done studies on just jumping, for people premenopausal who are jumping, that increases their bone density. So it's just something we need to think about, as well as all the other things you talk about, Danny, with the inflammation and all of those things that plague people of all ages, that all of that's going to affect our bones.
Wow, jumping. So if I jump now, postmenopausal,
Yeah,
post two
great.
babies, yeah, it's all great. But the bladder control, there's the problem there, right? You got to get your bladder fixed over there because jumping, yeah, jumping's fantastic. Okay, so what can we do to prevent and to treat? What are your recommendations? What can we
Well,
do?
well, this is the good news.
Take
The good
notes,
news to
ladies.
me, the good news to me is that, people are freaked out. Oh my God. Like, they feel fine. They go get their first DEXA and maybe they're in their 50s and then they get this diagnosis, osteoporosis. And
So a
oh my
DEXA
God.
scan, ladies, if you don't know, is a bone density scan that looks at the density of your bones, how porous your bones are, right?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it only looks at one piece of it. It
Okay.
only looks at how dense they are, not the
How dense?
quality. So you
Okay.
can have 2 bones, and people get so worried about that number, but you could have 2 bones the same density. One will fall and break like a piece of chalk, and the other is flexible. So the food, all the things you do are gonna really affect that flexibility. So anyway, but there is, just everyone listening, if you have the opportunity, if you do get a bone density, there's something called the trabecular bone scoring, the TBS, and it's software that certain facilities have that they can also tell you the bone quality. And it's usually not covered by insurance. I think it's around $100 more, but it's so great because it gives you that second piece. And you could have really great quality, but maybe your bone density is lower, and it makes a big difference in terms of if you would fracture and what would happen. So I think it's huge. I only wish that's something everybody ordered and was just part of the regular workup. But
Yeah, I'm getting ready to. I have an order for a bone density right now from an endocrinologist here in town. I did one several years ago, and I had osteopenia. A little bit, not bad, but I did. So it'll be interesting to see now what it is. But I'll ask for this and see. Yeah, because I
yeah,
didn't know about that.
yeah,
Okay.
most people don't know about that. The other thing, though, is you always have to get it on the same machine because it's not the most accurate test. And so if you go to a different machine, it's hard to measure what's happened. So you'll have to weigh if your machine that you used in the past has this versus. But if you're getting it for the first time, I would strongly recommend, or if you're, definitely get that also.
Sure. Sure. Well, what specific exercises? Let's talk about that before we get into.
Okay, this is so important because what I see as a physical therapist, and this is what actually 25 years ago when I first started work, a group of doctors started saying, I was in private practice. My background's orthopedic physical therapy, working with neck, back, all those kind of things. And, a group of doctors asked if I would see their patients with osteoporosis. And I was so upset because well-intentioned people, they wanted to do the right exercise, but you don't know where to turn. This was before really the internet. So they're turning to books, personal trainers, and unfortunately all exercise isn't equal, and a lot of them were doing exercises that increase their risk of spinal fractures. So how sad is that? So anyway, yeah. So when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, you really, really need guidance here. So just before I tell you about the different types of exercises, I truly believe there's not one size that fits all. And, a lot of people, oh, this worked for my friend, so I'll do it. Or you see something that worked and you just start doing it. It really matters. First of all, it matters what your posture is, what's your alignment. I mean, you can even be doing a great exercise, but in poor alignment, and that could be a problem. So if you have the opportunity, my first choice always, if you do have a diagnosis with osteoporosis or really anything, I think physical therapists are just not utilized properly. If you can go to see a physical therapist, it's usually covered by insurance also,
Yes.
just to get evaluated. They'll even one time get you on the right exercise program and let you know if there's something, but it has to be a physical therapist if it's osteoporosis who has experience. Not everybody has the background. So there are people who have had training with osteoporosis who are physical therapists. And then they'll get you all set up. They'll get what works for you, because again, it's not all the same. But there are some basic principles that they found in the research. So what does work is strength training, because the bones respond to the forces placed upon it. So for example, let's see, can you see my arm here? Okay. So if I'm contracting this muscle against resistance, let's say, the muscle is pulling, it's tugging on the bone. It's like, hey, we need some more bone here. So the forces are pulling on the bones and causing, that's the stimulus for more bone to be produced. So strength training is great. And it's not a lot of repetitions. That's what they found. It's more like 8 to 10 repetitions. So you want to do something that's somewhat hard. So again, you don't want to cause yourself pain. That's why it's good to see a physical therapist to make sure it's safe. But, there are people who are lifting 2 pounds for 10 years. That's not going to do anything. It
Right.
has to be more than it's accustomed. So it's actually, they've done studies, and there was a study called the Lift More trial, and where they took people who had osteoporosis and really did, serious strength training, and people increased their bone density. So to increase bone density, but the important thing was it was supervised, so because you can see some of these intense weight, people lifting weights and things, and some of it's not safe if you don't know what you're doing. So my recommendation is not to embark upon this alone if you've never been doing this kind of program, and to get treatment. But it is again not high rep, and it is high. It's the resistance. So you want to do, so that does work. The strength training, at least twice a week, the research has shown. And then the other thing is weight bearing, but the most effective is the impact, like higher impact, which depending on what your bone density is, and what, not everybody can tolerate that. But again, when you're getting, anything's better than nothing. So weight bearing is like walking, dancing, where you're getting forces on your bones and you through your bones against gravity. But that's why jumping and all those things are very effective in increasing bone density. But even if you can't increase bone density, even if you can't, the other thing every single person listening can do is balance exercises. And that's going to prevent falls. And that's huge because as we get older, if we don't use it, we lose it. And so balance exercises are things you could do every day, and it will make a huge difference. If you are walking and you trip and you've done these balance exercises, you'll catch yourself. And so I think that's something everybody should do every day. And then as you get older, you'll have great balance. And,
You bet.
yeah.
All right. Is there anything, was there anything else to do?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, in general, yes. I mean, I'm very big into alignment and posture exercises throughout the day because, we certainly don't want to be, and that's one of the contraindications. One of the things I was saying that people were doing is they're doing a lot of people don't know that if they have osteoporosis, they should not be doing the rounding exercises. So forward bending, rounding exercises. And the
So these are
reason,
contraindicated.
yes.
No, okay, no rounding. Okay.
And the reason that is, and I had a spine here. I don't know where it went. Well, the reason that is that it's the front of the spine where, I do have it right here. Let's see. Most people are watching this and looking at it. Okay. So can we see this right? Let's see. Yeah, right here. You see that?
Yes.
So this is the front of the vertebrae. And back here is like the back. If you touch your backbone, you'll feel that. So the fractures occur in the front. Like you see down here, that one, there we go. That's a wedge shape.
Okay.
And
Yes.
it should be here. But we see what happens is that we get these, with fractures and with extra force, this is what happens. They're no longer when you square shape, they're wedge shape. So all the force is in the front. So think about taking this now and rounding it out. Can you see how all the forces are right where it's the weakest?
Yes.
Yeah. So people, they did a study at the Mayo Clinic and they looked at people doing different exercises. So they looked at people doing back strengthening exercises, which are so great. And they looked at people, this were people with osteoporosis, and they had a 16% fracture rate. They looked at people who only did those rounding. Ready for this? 89% fracture rate over a 6-year period of time. Can you imagine?
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're never going to repeat that study again. So what you want to do, it's not that you can't bend forward. It's not that at all, but you bend from the hips and knees.
Okay.
So, but the good news, Danny, there's some good news is that on the summit, I have amazing physical therapists who actually demonstrate. They're showing the exercises to do. And they show you some great things for posture, for alignment. So they actually really give you some great guidance. And I have another woman who's an exercise physiologist showing all these great balance exercises. So things that, really giving the exercises that everybody can do that are safe and effective and really help.
But, that's going to be exciting. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see that because somebody just asked, what are the rounding exercises?
Yeah. So the rounding exercises you want to avoid are like touching your toes, sit-ups, anything that rounds, even the cat and camel. If you have osteoporosis, this is if you have even osteopenia, I tell people not to do those because you don't know if you've lost some bone, you just don't know exactly where it is. And you just don't want to risk that in terms of, not that you can't do everything.
Even cat, cow in a yoga class.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing with yoga, what you do is and again, someone's going to go over that. Sherry Betts goes over like what yoga poses are good, what aren't good. But the thing with the yoga poses is that you can do all neutral posture and extension, but you just don't want to do the rounding. So you can, everything can be modified. That's not a problem. But most people don't realize that. And yeah, I know but yeah, it's interesting. So same thing with, and the other thing with yoga and Pilates is you don't want to do extremes of motion. So you can go, if you have osteoporosis, and a lot of times some of the teachers will do like overpressure. You don't want that because it's just too much force. So again, I love yoga, love Pilates. I think they're amazing, and you can do them safely. It's just a matter of a few modifications.
Whoa. Okay, that's okay. Anything else that is contraindicated with osteopenia or osteoporosis, exercise-wise?
Yeah,
Round.
so the big thing is the rounding, the forward bending, and then when you
Okay.
bend, so then people don't realize, okay, I won't do those exercises, but a lot of people, their daily posture is well rounding, or they're sitting in this position. So
Mhm.
so posture is
You're on a
just
computer and you're
yeah, so important.
oh,
Um, but yeah, you feel so much better anyway when you're in better posture. So I would say so the rounding is the big thing, extremes of side bending and rotation. And but extremes, not regular motion, but just going to the extreme because it really torques if you have osteoporosis. And again, the overpressure. And I don't have it right now, but Dr. Sherry Betts made these two amazing handouts on yoga and Pilates safe. So I can give those to you to have so you can for your community
oh,
because
I
they're
would love that.
yeah, they're great.
That.
Yeah, they're
Heart
great.
buttons.
They're my favorites. She did such and she's as I said, she's on the summit, but they're two really great handouts telling you exactly what poses to avoid and what poses are safe for both of them. And they're really wonderful.
Oh, wow. Good. Okay, guys. Yeah, share the love if you want that. Hit your heart buttons and all. Okay. Okay. So we know about exercise and we know what to do and what not to do. What about diet? Does your diet have, which is my world and what I revolve in? So what are we wanting to eat to strengthen our bones? Is there anything we can eat to strengthen our bones or
Oh, absolutely.
tell
The
us?
thing is, well, the problem is a lot of people they just don't have the bones need nutrients. And the main and a lot of
What are
people, just a lot of people don't have a nutrient dense diet. They're, as you know, better than anyone. They're living on, junk food and processed food. And so one of the worst things that we can have is sugar because sugar reduces the absorption of calcium, magnesium, the bone things that bones absolutely need. So in terms of the healthy nutrients, there are a lot of them. I mean, calcium is very important. Most people, what I find, most people and most of the doctors will tell people, okay, you have osteoporosis, exercise. They're not specific. And walking isn't enough. A lot of people say, oh, I walk 20 miles. That's good. Again, all exercise is great and it has so many benefits. But in terms of the bones, it's the strength training. It's better to do the 10 repetitions of a harder exercise. And then the walking is fine, but and even the higher impact is helpful. But you need to add that strength training component to it. But anyway,
okay.
back to the food. So most people are told calcium and vitamin D. I would say most people, the doctor looks at their vitamin D levels and calcium. And that's about it. That's really all
Yes.
they think about, that's all that's important. But there's so many more. And I mean, really eating the rainbow is so helpful, but the two that are critical that are often overlooked is magnesium,
Hmm.
because so often people are deficient in magnesium, and that has a major effect on your bones. And the other one is vitamin K2.
You bet.
And
You
vitamin K,
bet.
and I really believe it's not safe to be on, high D and calcium and not K2 because K2 has there's two things it does. Number one, what it does, it takes the calcium and puts it where it needs it, into the bones
Yeah,
and the teeth.
you bet it helps pull it out of the arteries and lays it down on the bones. K27, a good megaquinone, is so imperative. And they never taught me this in school. Never, never,
No,
never,
it's
never.
it's so true. And then just like you said, right. So it puts it where it needs to be and takes it out where it shouldn't be. And that's the problem. There have been studies where people, that's the other thing I see. And I don't know if you see this too. I see people are taking too much calcium
Yes.
because they're getting some in their diet. And then the doctor says, oh, take 1200. And then they're supplementing.
Yes.
So it's the combination of the supplements in the diet that's the total calcium. And this is a
Mhm.
situation where more is not better. So
That's
people
right.
are getting too much calcium, and there have been studies, nothing 100% conclusive, but still studies showing that there's increased cardiovascular problems, increased kidney stones because there's too much calcium. So I always say, get it from your food and only supplement if you're not getting it in your food, because it's that's I see that as such a problem. People think, oh, I'm taking 1,200 milligrams and I'm eating all this other great food, but that's not what you want. So it's great to get in your food, but yeah. And so other things that are critical is protein, vitamin C, phosphorus, boron, manganese, zinc, copper, silicon, the vitamin B's, the folate. So it's a real array, but the key ones that I think are so essential are the magnesium and the K2. And K1 is good in terms of flexibility of the bones. As I said, is vitamin and C and protein, but K1 is like leafy greens, and a lot of people get that from their diet. Animals are able to turn that into the K2, but we can't really.
That's
And
right.
so I think that that's just something. I have everybody on K2, just like you said, because it's there's one Japanese food called natto
Yeah.
that yeah, that's really it's really slimy, and I don't know. I have one patient who loves it, and I'm still trying to figure out recipes. So if anybody who's listening knows recipes, like, tell us. But that it has tremendous number. It's a very, very high dose of K2 in it, and areas in Japan where they eat this food have significantly reduced fractures and osteoporosis.
You
But
bet they do. But
yeah,
I actually got a jar of that from the natto girl or NATO. How do you say it?
I don't know if I say it right. It's either natto or natto. I think it's natto. But
Natto from the
yeah.
Natto girl in New York City. Actually, when I was in I don't remember where I was, integrative healthcare symposium, and I let it go bad. I just well, it's
Oh,
pretty bad to begin with. I mean, it smells bad, and I just didn't do it. But it is so apparently packed full of nutrients for your bones and K27. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody's eaten natto, natto, let us know and tell us what you do with it, because I don't know.
yeah, I'm
But
still working on that because I do have people who eat it. So if I find recipes, I'll share them because it is slimy. It's not like it looks appealing. That's been my issue with it. So I just take the K2.
yeah, Tammy Brazier's asking how much K2 and mag. On the K2, I used megaquinone from Microbiome Labs. I love what Karan has done. I think it's my favorite. It's on our Shopify. I mean, we've got it in the store and in the office, everywhere. It's theirs is 320 micrograms per 2 capsules, which is more than you need. Actually, it's got a little bit of magnesium in it. Actually, I can't remember exactly what
I
all.
actually know what's in that one. So
Okay,
there's two that are very similar to that one. Yes, I'm pretty sure there's K1 in there. I think
yep.
there's magnesium.
There is 400 milligrams of magnesium, actually, which is a good dose. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, you have it. And I think there's some zinc in that one as well. I love.
30,
Yep.
30 milligrams of zinc bisglycinate. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a really wonderful one, and it's such a good company. The other thing about that is, wait, what was I going to say? With the studies with the MK7 showed 180 micrograms. That when people
Yes.
had 180 micrograms, it actually reduced their bone loss postmenopausal women, and it also increased the vertebral height. So it's very positive. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's great that you have that in your store.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I love that. I've used that one forever. I'll put the link up here for it, guys, right now for you. You can check it out after we finish this. But magnesium, how much magnesium do you think? That's what Tammy's asking.
With the magnesium, I always say it's interesting because way back it was a 1-to-1 ratio. So the amount of calcium
That's
was the
right.
same as magnesium. So that's ideal, but at least half the amount. I would say minimally at least half the amount of calcium, whatever you're getting, at least that's the minimum. But yes, so magnesium is, and then for people, I don't know what kind do you have, Danny, in your store?
We have a magnesium glycinate chelate malate that I love. Now I've got some other magnesiums for other things for constipation, but a
Yeah,
good,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
yeah,
for people, that's always, I love this because when I see people and, they're gonna increase magnesium and they have constipation, so I'll give them with the magnesium citrate or what, there's a couple other things. And so, they're so happy. Here they came in for osteoporosis and they were able to get rid of their constipation. So
isn't that something? Yeah.
it's such a win-win.
Yes, it is. Bianca, yes, you can. Yes. Yes. You can take them together. Calcium, magnesium. Yes. Right, Margie?
You can take them together for something. It depends on the formulation. Some
Yes.
formulas, they say they don't go well together, but you can, or you can have them separate.
Or you
It
could take
really,
your magnesium at bedtime because it helps you sleep. Take your calcium in the morning. I'm not a huge fan of calcium. I think you need K27. If you've ever taken calcium, you've got to have K27. So I am not a fan of, I should say that differently. I'm not a fan of taking calcium by itself. Like we have calcium in our vitamin C as well. I think calcium builds up in the arteries, and it does. I mean, like Australia has pretty well banned calcium. I think is that right? I think so. I remember reading about it. I don't know the.
I don't think they ban. I think the key thing is, though, it's very interesting. In the United States, they say that, we need 1,200 milligrams if you're over 50. Other
Yes,
countries have 700 milligrams. It's very interesting. I think in my head, they add in all the junk food that we eat in this country that reduces the absorption of the calcium. But I agree with you. I like people to get it from their food. I really
you
do.
you bet. Carol says, as a guide, consider taking 45 micrograms of vitamin K2 per 1,000 international units of D3.
Well, you know what that is? That's MK4. And that was the studies. There's two different ones. There's MK7, MK4. The 45 micrograms, that was the research. That was the research from the MK4. So, there's different
Oh,
numbers depending upon which one that you take. But yes, that's absolutely correct when
you
you're
bet.
taking the MK4. Yeah.
So while we're talking about all these nutrients that are important, what if your gut's unhealthy though?
Oh my God.
What
I'm
about
so
if
happy you said
because
that.
well,
That
this
is
is what my world goes around. I'm like, well, you can take all these you want. You can take it all. You can take the best of the best. You can go buy all my Mega Quinone at the office. But if you've got a leaky gut,
I
yeah,
couldn't, this is so important because, and that's what I see all the time. And unfortunately, that's one of the root causes, and that has to be addressed. You're not going to get better. There's no band-aid that you can put on if you don't deal with the gut. And
absolutely.
so that is absolutely foundational. It doesn't matter what you're eating. That to me is where we start because you need to heal that gut, whatever it takes. You need to figure out what the problem is. And there's so much research now, and they always knew people with Crohn's, colitis, issues had increased risk of osteoporosis. But people who are taking the proton pump inhibitors like the Nexium and any of those antacids are much higher risk for osteoporosis because they're reducing their stomach acid. So
You
it's this,
bet.
negative problem. So yes, I couldn't agree with you more. You must figure out, really heal the gut. That's so important. And then you can absorb your nutrients because you're not, and figure out sensitivities. The biggest one I see, Danny, I don't know about you, but what I see with the bones that's so huge is the gluten. Oh my goodness. I have so many people who who have sensitivities. It doesn't have to be celiac. They know celiac. Celiac, and conventional doctors test for celiac because they know anyone with celiac is going to have issues with their bones. But people don't realize, well, that's not the majority of people who have issues with gluten. And so anyone with problems with gluten sensitivity is also going to affect your absorption of the nutrients as well as its inflammation. That's going to be, as you always say, you are the queen of inflammation causing problems.
Inflammation is the devil,
Yeah,
people. It
yeah.
is the
And
devil. I wrote a whole chapter on it in here. Inflammation is the devil. I mean,
and the
it's the
devil for the
root,
bones too.
it
It can
is the
go.
root of 100% of all chronic lifestyle diseases.
including
disease eating worms.
osteoporosis.
You bet.
But the gluten is something I see a lot. It's so fascinating when people go off of it. Not only do their bones get better, but then their arthritis, all these other issues get better as well. Just like you said, once you calm down the inflammation, everything gets better. And people don't realize that the body is all connected. They'll come in for bones, but they had eczema all over. They don't realize that when we figure out the gut and correct these things, guess what? That gets better too. So
Yes,
yes,
it does.
yes,
Guess
that's such a
what
good
else?
question. It's so important.
Yeah. Guess what else gets better? Because you're like a happiness person. And this
Yes.
is so funny because I was just on a show this week, the Ken Coleman show, which is part of Dave Ramsey's big conglomerate that is just amazing out here in Franklin. So it was a really great, and I talked about stress in the workplace. Stress is killing people. Stress is literally killing millions of people every year and costing billions of dollars in the healthcare industry and billions of dollars in the workforce. Stress, happiness. Is there a connection with when you've got so much stress going on and you are just on overdrive? And of course, you're unhappy. Do we have a connection, a link between stress, happiness, and osteoporosis or osteopenia?
Yes,
We do.
absolutely. Yes. And that's what's always so interesting. I'll see people and they're so worried. Am I doing the right exercises? Am I eating the right food? And not realizing that the stress itself is your body's own, stress hormone. It increases your cortisol, and cortisol reduces the osteoblast, the bone building cells.
Yes.
And so they've done animal studies as well as human studies on stress. And they found, a significant correlation between anxiety levels and bone density in both the lumbar spine, the back and the hip as well, femoral neck. So yeah, they've really, and even being like social stress, there's a relationship between that and bone density. So it's very, very important. It's to me, and also happiness. They found that people who are happier and more content with life have higher bone densities. So there's a huge relationship. And to me, that's the foundation. Like every single person I work with, we need to deal with this piece of it because that is so important. And that if you don't, it's just going to keep affecting your bones as well as everything else. And the good news, and you know this so well, is that when you do address this piece, oh my gosh, everything gets so much better. It's the way to live. It really is. I found that, Danny, as a physical therapist many years ago. I mean, we're talking a long time ago, working with chronic pain patients. This is like 35 years ago. And, I had gone through something that wasn't great, and people are like, oh, you're so happy. And I'm thinking, if they only knew what I just went through, they really wouldn't say that. But then it hit me at that moment that, I sort of was happy, and that happiness was not based on my circumstances. It's an inside job. And then I said, you know what? They're so unhappy. They're so miserable. I'm just going to start teaching them what got me through this and just see what happens. And I couldn't believe it. Chronic pain got better so much quicker, necks, back, than it was with conventional physical therapy. It was shocking. And so since that day, and that's over 35 years ago, every single person I work with, I teach happiness habits to. And in the summit, every morning, I give a happiness habit, for people to work on. And there's a happiness journal that goes with it because I think it's so important that I put it in. And there's one talk also, a whole talk on with my mentor who really taught me how to teach happiness to people as well. But it's so important, and there is a link, and it makes sense also. Besides, having research showing that, if you're happier, you're much more able to embark on an exercise program, eat
Yeah.
well. It just is this, instead of being the vicious circle that you're feeling miserable, you don't want to eat well, it's the opposite. And you just
Yes.
feel empowered, you feel good. And who doesn't want to wake up happier than you are? It's just such a, people don't realize they can change their happiness level. That's what's amazing to me. Like nobody realizes, even if you're the most glass half empty person, it doesn't matter. You can improve that.
You bet you can. You bet you can. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to kind of sort of end this part of it. Tell us about your summit, the natural approach. Is it natural approaches to osteoporosis?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and bone health,
Bone
and bone health,
Health
because it's
Summit.
all it's all ages. Yeah, I'm so excited about this summit. I mean,
I'm
it's
gonna
starting
post the link again. You talk about it. I'm gonna
it's
get it ready.
starting tomorrow, and
Okay.
literally, I've been it's like the culmination of my 25 years because the information isn't that accessible. It's not like people go to the doctor and they get all this great information. So there's experts on root causes, what really causes osteoporosis. There are experts, functional medicine doctors, and that's what they do. They work with osteoporosis. So they know this whole body approach. And so they go through, what's worked with them. There's people who also, I have a lot of people, specialists, who this is what they do. And I brought them all together. And
Yes.
so, health coaches, nutritionists, really what to eat, how to make the food that you like to eat, as well as I said, these physical therapists who really teach you what to do. And there's one who's also a Feldenkrais practitioner, which you may not know, but really helps you in terms of your body. And then Danny's on and other people to reduce stress because that's such a big piece, and happiness. So it's really a combination of so many different doctors and people working with osteoporosis, from many different areas, digestion. Dr. Tom O'Brien, who's one of my favorites,
Oh, he's one of my all-time
and
favorites.
he really explains gluten and digestion and what we can do. Andrea Nakayama
I
also does.
love her. Oh, I
She,
just love her.
yeah, she's so fabulous, and she really goes into, again, more in digestion, but everybody's giving tips. Oh, and then who else who I know that Deborah Wayne. Do you know?
Oh, yes.
Yes, Deborah Wayne. I don't know what she does, but she's magical. So she's, a high speed. For those who don't know who she does high speed energy healing. And
Yes.
I'm a big believer in energy. And so I have her actually in the summit going through a session. So she's actually does, I think it's at least 10 minutes of a high speed energy session. So you don't have to do anything. You just lay there and you absorb the energy. So just
This is gonna be great.
lots of different tools. It's sort of like a smorgasbord when I look at it, that
Yeah.
everybody needs something different. There's not one answer. Someone has blood sugar issues. Well, there's the blood sugar expert, Dr. Brian Mull. And so there's just different people who I really made sure I was really very picky on who does this, who has the expertise in terms. Oh, then I have Dr. Felice Gersh. And
Oh, I love her.
she is brilliant, and she talks about estrogen because it's really, and bioidentical estrogen, and there's so much misinformation out there. Yeah, yeah,
Hard to see.
there
Yeah,
she is. Yeah,
there she is. She's one
yeah,
of my favorites. Keep talking.
yeah. So she really goes over how the misconception happens and what estrogen does, and she really goes through how you can utilize it. And then there's even a pediatrician. What do you feed your kids? How to get calcium without milk, since milk's so inflammatory. How
You
can you get
bet.
calcium? And then another woman who has a whole program for kids, like more teens, and she goes through her slides and the process. It's just packed with lots of information, lots of tools for people of all ages, you know, all the areas, the exercise, the food, and the lifestyle. And
Good.
so yeah, so I'm so excited about it because
I'm so excited, ladies, and it starts tomorrow. I don't know what time it starts, but,
I, I think
who knows?
I'm pretty sure it's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think that's
Okay.
what I
Okay.
think so.
So
But
I'll
yeah,
be
but they're available all day, so it doesn't matter.
yeah,
All the talks are unlocked, and you
right.
can watch all the talks all day.
Right. So guys, click the link. Click the link. I'm also sending out the newsletter Tuesday, which has got your link in it. So everybody can click it there. If you miss this, you can click it. But let's answer a few questions. We've already got 43 minutes into this.
Oh my
Karen,
God.
I'm 66. I've been diagnosed with osteoporosis. They want me to take Prolia. I do not want to.
So the interesting thing is this, and this is the thing.
We had
So
a couple messages on this. Okay.
yeah, so there's not an exit strategy from these things. Like if you take Prolia
Yes.
and you get off Prolia, your bone density goes down. You can't get off it. It's not like you could just take it, oh, I'm better. So you have to seriously think about these things. Plus, it actually reduces your immune system, Prolia, the way it works. So my thought on medication is, each person decides, and even if you're taking medication, you should come to the summit because it's not a panacea. It may stop bone loss, but you need to figure out all the other things. So my feeling is figure out your root causes. And so that's the other thing, people really go through all the different tests. It's not there's, you have to figure out the root causes. Do you have inflammation? Do you have an issue with gluten? Do you have, there's many different things. So my feeling is that, first I would do everything. I mean, that I'm not a big fan of medication. There are certain situations if you have bones that are about to fracture where sometimes people go on like Forte or the anabolics that build bone. But Prolia, there's no, once you get off it, you are on medication, you can't get off it because your bone density will get worse than when you started. So my feeling is there's so much that can be done. Exercise, it's not like you're 66. It's not like you immediately are going to, I don't, it's not as though, oh my gosh, I have to do this instantaneously. You know, take a year. I also look at osteoporosis as an opportunity. You get a look, okay, something's not going right with my bones. Where's it coming from? What can I do? So, so
Mhm.
again, you figure out all the root causes, hormones. I mean, there's just many things. Really do an exercise program, be on and see someone, get a really great strength training program, change your food, find the root causes, reduce your stress, increase your happiness, and you're sad. I mean, I've seen so many people that, and there's also even like a vibration. There's a certain, I call it's the Maridine low intensity vibration that helps bone. But the point is there's so many things. This is what I do. And I've just seen, people, oh yeah, because that's what the doctors, that's what they've learned. They don't mean harm. They really don't.
Nope.
I've just been in this world too long to know that's what they're told. Okay, someone has a minus 2.5, not let's look at, unless they're functional medicine or integrative, let's not look at their risk factors and everything else and root causes. Let's get them immediately on the medication. That's what they're trained in. So, it's very easy. And don't throw the doctor out. Just say, you know what, I'm going to try, or maybe see a functional medicine doctor, or see somebody else who can help you figure out, there's other tests. Are you losing bone? There's just many tests, other things you can do to really dig deeper and see. Could even be heavy metals. I mean, there's just many reasons that we're not going to go into tonight. But the point is, there's a lot that can be done. That would certainly not be my first choice.
Absolutely. Yes. Everyone's saying, how wonderful is this? This is great. This is
Oh,
great. Yeah. Do you, like Marianne says, do you recommend a vibration machine? And she talked
I
about that.
do. I do. I love, and he's on the summit. And you definitely listen to this one because Dr. Clint Rubin, he's the person that did the research with NASA, with the astronauts. He did all the
Oh,
research. I've been standing on this for 5 years, actually. And in 10 minutes, the problem is people think they have to do the power plate or these heavy ones. He says they're not, I mean, you can't, vibration is not safe. A lot of, for your eyes, for your brain. And so they found that certain stimulus, and this is a low magnitude, so it's only 0.4 G, which is gravitational force, and like a frequency of, I think it's 40 hertz. So it's a higher frequency, but not a high magnitude. And they found that stimulates, they're called the mesenchymal stem cells, to turn into bone in your bone marrow instead of fat. So it's so easy, 10 minutes a day. And it's not cheap though, but it's so worth, I mean, yeah, so I'm a very big believer if you can, that it's just a nice adjunct. It's not the end all. Nothing's a quick fix. It's just all of these things, all together
that's
create
right. That's
healthy bones, strong bones, as well as a healthy, happy person. So it's just a win-win all over.
You bet. My gym has a power plate. So if I was going to get on that, just put it at the lowest setting. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know I mean, I've
I
been,
have to tell you, again, now I'm researching this more because I've gotten so many questions from Trudy Scott had put something about the summit and the man. And so on her feed, everybody's asking her about the power play and all this. And so I know a fair amount about all this, but I told her I'm going to actually really research exactly. But
okay.
the numbers, there's, I think it's ICO, there's international standards that look at what's safe vibration in the workplace. And
Oh,
they say like the Maridine, I think anything under 1G, which is like, so Maridine's 0.4, this is one I like. They say that, that's safe for like 6 to 8 hours, but you're only standing on it for, 10 minutes. But these other devices that are 8, 10, higher than that G forces, which I think, all those power plates, they
Oh,
say they're not even safe for like 16 seconds.
oh,
That's why they,
my teeth chatter. I mean, like,
yeah,
I mean, everything. So when you just said that about the brain and the eyeballs, I was
yeah,
like, well, that's right. I'm shaking my eyes and my brain during that. And I
yeah.
definitely don't need to shake my brain anymore.
So I don't want to badmouth it because I can't say for sure, but that's what he says, and that's what again, the standards about vibration. That's why they tell you to bend
Okay.
your knees, so you don't want to get all that. So my feeling on that is that I just don't want that risk because there have been, again, it's not like there's a
Yeah.
massive study, but there have been reports of like corneas and
Yes.
retinal detachments and things like that, or
Oh, no.
tinnitus in the ears. So, what are my thoughts on the REM test?
Yeah. I don't know
That's
what
a,
that is.
yeah, that's a new test, and I'm reserving judgment until the reason is um, yeah, the reason is I just really don't know because they use the same measurements as the DEXA test. They use an ultrasound, and so I'm investigating it more really before I say anything because I haven't had enough experience with it to say anything.
Okay.
I don't want to put anything out there that's not 100% accurate. I'm actually meeting with the person after the summit who is involved with that. So I'll have more
Well,
information on that
I
at a later
respect
date.
that, which is actually well, I just lost it. Oh, there we go. Can you do a part two? Possibly we will, Cindy. But listen, we don't need a part two. If you go sign up and listen to her, you'll get way more than we could get. Literally, if there's 45 speakers and they spoke maybe 45 minutes or whatever, I don't know how long
Yeah,
the average.
30 minutes, some are 45, right?
But you've got,
Yeah.
anywhere 25, 30 hours of amazing education. So possibly we will, Cindy. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know. But I cannot wait to log on tomorrow evening and start watching the summit. Summits can be overwhelming, people. They can be very overwhelming because you've got, I don't know how many you have a day going on, 5 or 6 um, presentations, but and the summit itself is free, but then you can purchase it. So I get my best use of a summit when I buy the summit, and I can listen to it whenever. Then, yeah. And do you have that option? Because honestly, I
Yeah,
haven't.
what's interesting with the summit? Yes. So they did something different this time with the summit.
What
So
you do? Because I don't know.
yeah, I'll tell you.
Share
So
the link
so
again.
yes, so there's the summit, which is right now, I think it's like $69. So it's not very expensive. And with just even if you just register, I wrote an exercise book that comes, I did a little course that comes, you get the journal with the happiness. There's a lot of stuff that comes with it. But then if you purchase it, there's also advanced content that you get. So
Oh,
I did 2 courses on toxins, an ergonomics course that comes with it. Plus, everybody is given all sorts of, there's so many amazing bonuses that come with it, in terms of what people have given. But
awesome.
the other thing that they did that's relatively new for the company Health Means that I'm doing the summit with is that I have a course. It's a 6 weeks called Happy Bones, Happy Life. And that course was $297. I was then selling for $197. But that course is $69 as well on the
What?
summit right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to give people tools. Like afterwards, just like you said, it's overwhelmed. So I wanted to let people have a course that they could just sort of follow step by step. But then so I made it, we just made it really inexpensive. But if people buy, there's like a package that you can get for this is probably, I think tonight it's over with. I mean, I think once the summit starts, it's not, it will be available, but not quite the same low price. But then they have now for $99. So for $30 more, you get the summit and my course. So it's really a deal of the century, I think.
Wow.
And yeah, I just wanted people to get the information. I know people say, they say like, what are you doing that for? I was like, you know what? I honestly, I feel so strongly and I'm so unhappy about the trajectory of osteoporosis in this country. And it just upsets me to no end that people are suffering or someone has a fracture. The quality of their life, you just don't want to go there. I mean, 20% of people that have fractured their hip die within a year. 50% lose their independence. It's horrible. And so no one wants to be there. And when you've seen this, you just don't want it to happen to anyone. So, I just really want to give people tools and because it doesn't have to be. That's the good news. None of this has to be. So anyway, so it's not very expensive, I think, for what it is. And then that does give you, because don't get overwhelmed with the summit. Pick what you want. And that's how my philosophy on life is that way too, is that pick one thing. It doesn't matter. It's the small wins incrementally that
Yeah.
really that make the change, and you're able to change lifestyle like that. So don't think, oh my gosh, or even from listening tonight, I have to do all these things. No, start with one thing, reduce your stress, follow Danny or get rid of sugar, do one thing. You'll hear one thing and just say, okay. Yeah, there's a sugar person about sugar addiction also on the summit. There's
This is
lots of
gonna be wonderful.
lots of people. So but don't worry. It's just a matter of getting tools, putting them in, and being relaxed when you do it, and having fun, like Danny and I do with life.
We do.
We
You
do.
know?
You have to. You have
Yeah,
to.
you have to. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. I cannot wait. Guys, I didn't realize like the big deal ends tonight. So I need to go on and get mine. I just didn't be done, even though I'm in it. I can't wait because I can't watch it during the day when I work. So all that being said, click the link. There you go. It'll take you straight to it. This has been amazing. March, thank you for taking time.
Oh, thank you.
For this launches. I know that's a big deal. And Linda, I agree. It was wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you, everyone. It's funny. My eyes, I could not read the chat over
Well, I
there.
can tell you. Well, you can go on if you want to real fast and answer any of those questions when we get off of here on Facebook.
Oh, is that what I can do?
I can do that on my Facebook.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let me tell you. Vicky, I'm so, this is great. Oh, listen, we have so many Sunday night services. Her first Sunday night service, loved it. Thank you, ladies. Oh, that makes me so happy.
Me too.
Listen, I've done this for 3 going on 4 years, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of Sunday night services on YouTube. So you can just go right over there and look. Nobody follows me on YouTube, so there's a gazelle. But listen, next Sunday night, Dr. Medea Saeed. Oh my gosh. I am you
So if you think I have energy, okay? If you think
my
I have energy or Danny has energy, my
Let me
God.
tell you about her. She is one of I adore her. I was on her podcast and I did a thing with her or a Facebook Live. I can't remember. And anyway, I said, I've got to get you on here. She just wrote, our book came out. This book came out November 9th or 11th. Mine came out November 9th. The Holistic RX for Kids. She's a family practice doc up in Chicago. She is incredible. But this one, I didn't know, and I ordered it. The Holistic RX, Your Guide to Healing Chronic Inflammation and Disease. Once you finish reading my book, and if you haven't bought it, you need to go buy it. You need to read this because it is incredible. We think so much alike, and she's going to be on here next Sunday night. So I am thrilled to death with that. This Friday, I will be at Duck River Books in Columbia, Tennessee with my very first bookstore book signing. I've been to lots of book signings, but this is the first bookstore to pick up Wild and Well, Danny's 6 Common Sense Steps to Radical Healing. I am so excited. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this book on a bookshelf in a bookstore.
Oh my God.
I might just cry. So all of you that are here locally, you need to get down to Duck River Books, 6 p.m. Sunday night, the 21st. Tuesday is my birthday. I'll be 56 years old Tuesday, and we've been running a month-long birthday promotion at the office, online and on the online supplement store and in the supplement store. This week it is the Daily Vitamin and D3 5000 with K2 in it, a little bit of K2 in it. So those are the 2 that are on sale, but you got to go online or come in and see us. Ken Coleman. I was on Ken Coleman's show Thursday. Holy moly. It's on YouTube, or it's on YouTube or Dave Ramsey's website or something as well. That was incredible. And we talked about stress in the workplace. Your wealth without your health is useless. useless. And it was incredible. It was live and there were questions live. It was so amazing. So anyway, it's been a busy week. You guys are fantastic. And get off here, click the link, get on, sign up for Margie's Summit. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And Nancy, I agree. It has been fabulous. So we're going to end it on that. And I'm proud of you, sis. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so much. I've so enjoyed being with you. And Dr. Medea Saeed's on the summit too. And you're right. Yeah, she's talking about inflammation. The two of you are absolutely on the same wavelength. Your book and then her book are perfect merges. Absolutely.
But oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, good. I can't believe I can just pinch myself. It's just so much fun right now. All the work, and just like you, all the work we've done for all these years, it seems like it's just coming together for so many of us, you know, and it's really exciting. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you. 1 hour, 23 seconds over here. I'm sorry we went over, but this was incredible. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you tomorrow. Go meal prep tonight. Sunday night, Dinners with Danny starts back on Instagram tomorrow. And it's going to be my winner chicken dinner tomorrow night. So we'll see.